For the past decade, my brother and I have been collecting and documenting some insanely cool pieces of Pokemon history. Today, I'm going to share 5 of my favorites and tell you their stories. As lifelong Pokemon fans, my brother Professor Tops and I have been amassing Pokemon for literally as long as I can remember. But our collection didn't have its first piece of truly unique history join its ranks until I was in high school. With the money I was making as a lifeguard and swim instructor, we started buying up games and scouring the internet for unique things to hoard. On eBay, we stumbled across a listing for one of the distribution cartridges used at EB Games, the Canadian version of GameStop, to distribute the Shiny Creation Trio back in 2013. You see, right up until 2022, the Pokemon Company would host in-person events where you were able to wirelessly receive special event Pokemon and items. As of Scarlet and Violet, these have been entirely replaced with special code cards, but from Generation 3 all the way to the 2022 Pokemon Championships in London, these in-person wireless events took place all over the world.
We're ending off day 3 of Pokemon World Finals here, or World Championships here in London. To celebrate, we're gonna grab the Cherish Ball Sinistea from the event.
This distribution cartridge was sent out by Nintendo to give away the legendary Pokemon Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina in their shiny forms. Store employees simply had to pop it into a Nintendo DS, check that the dates were correct, and leave the special software running for as long as the event period lasted. Back in the day, I remember casually asking my mom when she would be going to the mall next so I could tag along to get shiny Raikou, Entei, and Suicune from a similar event. Since there was a bit of a personal attachment to these in-person events, and it would give out unlimited shinies, we picked it up. Over time, we added more and more of these unique cartridges to our collection. But what I have to share with you today is a very special part of the package that came along with them. While the process of getting these events set up at the game stores was simple, Nintendo still had to make sure that there wouldn't be any confusion on how to get things going. Imagine if some kid had gone all the way to the mall to get a cool Pokemon, only to spend the entire day in Sears and walk away empty-handed.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
To ensure such a tragedy wouldn't happen, Nintendo sent a distribution memorandum along with the cartridge. Very few of these are documented. I imagine most of them were disposed of after the event was set up. The memorandum includes information on how to set up the event, the default DSi cat picture, and, as the store employees obviously adhered to, instructions on how to return the game card back to Nintendo. Most notably, the guide includes official HD pictures of Pokemon Black and White, as well as the most insanely JPEG'd versions of Black 2 and White 2 anyone has ever seen. If anyone's able to track down these variants, please let me know.
Okay, next one, please.
Over the years, my brother and I have kept our eyes out for special banners, flags, and promotional materials from events on eBay. And our next piece of history came all the way from Japan to join us. Let's set the scene. 2018, the Sandoid Fest in Tottori, Japan. An annual event that takes place in Japan's largest sand dunes. For over 20 years, Toripi has been the mascot for the Tottori Prefecture. But in 2018, it would be joined by a duo of adorable Pokemon. You see, across Japan, the Pokemon Company has been working to appoint each prefecture with their own unique Pokemon ambassadors. There's Dragonite in Fuiki, Chansey in Fukushima, and as of December 2018, Cantonian and Alolan Sandshrew in Tottori. This is all organized by the Pokemon Local Acts Project, the same team that has installed Pokemon-themed manhole covers from Okinawa to Hokkaido. The event was highlighted by the presence of the new ambassadors, matching merch, and a rebranding of a local coffee shop to Sand Coffee, Sand being the Japanese name for Sandshrew. Pokemon fans traveled from all over for the event, not only to be part of this super cute ceremony, but also to be the first players in the world to catch Shiny Sandshrew in Pokemon Go. And the first to see a Alolan Sandshrew in the wild. Totori is known for its dynamic beauty, and a bit of cold weather gave shiny hunters a glimpse of why Alolan Sandshrew was the perfect Pokemon to join its Cantonian counterpart on the northern shores of Honshu. For those that weren't ready to brave the cold, Totori is also home to the world's largest indoor sandcastle museum. And to tie everything together, a special sand sculpture was crafted to celebrate the crowning of the new Pokemon ambassadors. If we look in the background, there it is. The flag flown to commemorate this piece of Pokemon history, featuring the 2 new ambassadors. Years later, we managed to scoop it up on eBay and preserve this unique snapshot into Pokemon's history. I really love being able to document things like this. Not only because I think the event was fascinating, but also because the relic was part of so many Pokemon fans' journey to experience the world around them in a way they might have never done otherwise. Which ties extremely well into our next piece of Pokemon history. These commemorative Pokemon medals from Pokemon Go Fests 2018 and 2019. Personally, I wasn't able to be a part of the event in Totori, but I have been able to attend every Pokemon Go Fest ever held. Back in 2017, my brother, Professor Tops, and I took our first ever road trip together. Something that we might have never done together if it wasn't for our shared love of Pokemon.
Tens of thousands of Pokemon fans are Poke-mad after technical glitches turned today's Pokemon Go Festival to a huge flop.
Despite all of its flaws, we left Chicago hooked and ready to see where Pokemon would take us next. Which just happened to be back to Chicago in 2018 and 2019. In the summer of 2018, my mom, brothers, and our friend Athy1 piled in for a trip over the border. GoFest 2018 cleared most of the internet issues that had plagued GoFest in 2017, and was honestly just a super fun event. Pokemon brought us together to experience the city, venturing to the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry, the beautiful Shed Aquarium, and all over Lincoln Abraham Park. After hours of forcing my mum to catch shiny Pokemon and braving the weather, both rain and shine, the event was drawing to a close. Throughout the day, each of the different team tents were doing trivia and challenges to try and win one of these super unique medals. Unfortunately, a lot of the challenges were for things like, who has caught the most Sandshrew? Tops and I had like 40, maybe 50. We were no match for the hardcore Sandshrew grinders with thousands. Before the event came to a close though, Professor Tops fell face first into a stroke of luck. He had been holding on to his Mew encounter to catch it with a Chicago location tag. And just an hour after adding it to his collection, the challenge at the team tent to win one of the last medals of the day was, who has caught the most recent Mew? Well, Tops had no way of competing with the hard crew Sandshrew lovers. His slow progress through the Mew questline was unbeatable. So we walked away from Pokemon Go Fest 2018 with our feet covered in blisters, but as the proud owners of this super rare Pokemon medal. When 2019 rolled around, the challenge was going to be far greater. Athy1, Professor Tops, and I set out for Chicago once again. Upon arriving at Grant Park in 2019, we were floored by how beautiful all of the decorations were. The park was set up to be the best Go Fest of all time. This time, it featured something new, a Pokemon Battle Stadium. 16 players would enter, and one would walk out victorious, with a shiny new medal to show for it. The problem was, up until I stepped foot in Chicago that day, I had only ever focused on Master League. Great League, a battle format where Pokemon must be under 1500 CP, was foreign to me. But we had brought along a professional battler, multi-time regional top cut player, and a master of the Great League, Athy1.
Power Punch Ice Punch combo, a combo that we rarely see. In fact, I don't remember the last time I saw it. And here we come in with the Umbreon trying to catch.
Oh, no!
Oh, it catches a resisted Shadow Ball. That's a huge catch.
Knowing that we had to win 4 battles in a row against some of the most intense Pokemon Go players in the world, we knew we had to practice. So back at the hotel room, Athie kicked my butt over and over. The Great League in Pokemon Go is full of unique Pokemon that don't see much play in other games. At the time, Medicham, Azumarill, Bastiodon, Meganium, Altaria, and Deoxys were all dominant forces. Luckily, I had a strong Medicham that I was able to power up to level 40, the highest power level at the time. Tops was able to put together a Bastiodon, but Athie had brought along a sleeper pick. No matter what team I tried to craft, his Frostlass was picking my teams apart. But much like 2018, luck was on my side. When we arrived in Chicago, Niantic had accidentally boosted the shiny rates citywide. So I had picked up a shiny Snorunt. Fate made it female. Luck gave it a nearly perfect PvP/IV spread. And Fortune brought it to 1,498 CP when it evolved. Just below the 1,500 limit for the Great League. There was just one more problem. Frostlass's secret lied in its ghost typing. Medicham and Deoxys' counters barely touched it, but Avalanche alone wasn't going to be enough to win those matchups. I needed to get Shadow Ball. At this time, charge TMs were scarce. I had used up all of mine trying to get a cool moveset for my Mew in Master League. So we had to get insanely lucky in the morning. I had just a few chances for a TM to drop from a raid on the way from the hotel to the event. While Tops sat in line waiting to buy merch, Athie and I scrambled to get the charge TM that would flip the scales in Elsa's favor. By sheer coincidence, I grabbed one on our first raid. So there was just one puzzle piece remaining. I had to snag Jirachi, the most recently released Pokemon, whose Doom Desire gave it play into Azumarill and Bastiodon. Once we had speedrun the questline for Jirachi, my final wish was granted. Itomori was ready to join the team. We each grabbed a ticket to participate in the battle arena. We would only get a couple of chances each. Tops made it to the final 4, but he had never faced an Azumarill with the move Hydro Pump, since Athie and I had only ever used Ice Beam and Play Rough against him. His Bastiodon fell before he could earn a medal. Luckily, I faced Deoxys nearly every round. Without any species clause, I even saw someone that was trying to run 3 of them. But my opponents just weren't prepared for just how devastating Shadow Ball would be. Despite Athie and Tops not quite reaching the finish line, Normal Color, Itomori, and Elsa were able to bring home the gold, not just once, but twice. We had gone from a literal team of nobodies to a team capable of destroying even the most decorated battlers. And we left Chicago with yet another piece of Pokemon history.
This is where I would have put a sponsor, but I don't have a sponsor, so please just subscribe instead.
In the year 2000, Pokemania was taking the world by storm, and Canada's biggest telecommunications company wanted to get in on it. In an era before the modern cell phone, making calls on the go was not as simple as it is now. Payphones were the go-to for getting in touch with someone when you weren't home. To make it easier to stack up those outgoing minutes, Bell had started selling what they called quick change cards. They produced a huge array of special designs, each with a limited number of prints. There were orangutans, McDonald's promos, sports cards, and even cool dogs with sunglasses riding sleds. While some were limited to just a couple thousand prints, others had upwards of 100,000 copies made. The designs that we're most interested in, though, sat somewhere in the middle. These Pokemon Quick Change cards had 30,000 copies made for each of the Pokemon selected for the promotion. While Bell had intended for these cards to become collectibles, the truth is that most people who ended up with them were probably only interested in the actual functionality of the cards and would have tossed them after the funds ran out. Honestly, these cards are hardly ever talked about because of how few likely still exist in the wild. With limited print runs and availability geo-locked to Canada, I had never actually heard about them until I was browsing Facebook Marketplace while I was in Montreal, and happened to stumble across a listing for this Mew card. As a huge Mew fan, and someone who used to work for Bell, it felt like a perfect addition to the lab's collection. Especially when you consider that something like this is a relic of an era that has passed us by. I still remember where the payphones in town were when I was growing up, but now they've all gone the way of the dodo. If you're watching this video and you've made it this far, I can say with almost complete certainty that Pokémon has touched your life in one way or another. For so many of us, the anime would have been a huge part of what made us fall in love with the franchise. Watching Ash and his friends travel far and wide to become the very best was a shared experience that Pokémon fans from across the world were able to enjoy together for over 2 decades. While some of us could argue that the pinnacle of Ash's journey involved the strongest electric type attack ever unleashed, I think the peak may have happened before the turn of the century. To this day, the first Pokémon movie is still my favorite of all. While Ash and the gang don't remember the time they spent in Mewtwo's castle, I definitely do. After escaping the lab that created it, Mewtwo struggles to understand his purpose in life, something that is a uniquely human experience in the real world. The movie forces us to ask, what does it mean to be human? Mewtwo is artificial, lost, alone, and definitely not human. Biologically, at least.
Is that my purpose? Am I just an experiment? A laboratory specimen? This cannot be my destiny.
But hidden beneath Mewtwo's pain and frustration is something human. This inner turmoil caused by a question we have all asked ourselves. Why?
Why am I here? What is my purpose?
Determined to prove that their path cannot be chosen for them, Mewtwo pursues their own destiny. But along the way, Mewtwo learns something that I honestly believe every kid, nay, every human should hear.
I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
While the hand we are dealt can impact us in so many ways, we are the only ones that get to decide how we move forward. We will all struggle and fall. We will all feel like the world is against us. These things are inevitable. But when you stand back up and you face the world, you are the one that controls the next step. When you take that step, Meowth's words should echo in your head.
You're right. We do have a lot in common. The same earth, the same air, the same sky. Maybe if we started looking at what's the same instead of always looking at what's different, well, who knows?
With your gift of life, do you choose to look at what connects us or what divides us? Will that next step be an act of bravery that determines who you are? What I love about this movie is that it doesn't answer these questions for us. It leaves Ash and his crew right where they started, and we are left to decide for ourselves how Mewtwo's words will shape us. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, but that might be because I am a little too obsessed with the movie. Yet, even with all these copies, only one has earned a place in the lab's display case. This is a copy of the first Pokemon movie that my brother got signed by the 3 main voice actors. Veronica Taylor, the voice actor for Ash, Eric Stewart, the voice actor of both James and Brock, and Rachel Lillis, the voice actor for Misty and Jessie. My brother had gotten the opportunity to meet Veronica in the past, and she was exactly as lovely and welcoming as he had told me she would be. Which, to be clear, was extremely lovely and extremely welcoming. Though something stuck with me from this meeting that I surely won't ever forget. Meeting Rachel. You could tell in her eyes that she was overjoyed to be there meeting fans. Despite having a busy day ahead of her, she took the time to talk with my brother and I for far longer than would have been required for a simple meet and greet signing experience. With a huge smile on her face, she sang the iconic Jigglypuff song, which has been used not only in the anime, but in Smash Bros., Pokemon Snap, and across the franchise. When they say that you should never meet your heroes, they certainly weren't talking about her. We left that day with a piece of Pokemon history that goes far beyond some signatures on a VHS tape. Now, I'm not usually one to pay much attention to celebrity comings and goings, but when I heard the news of Rachel's passing, it was overwhelming. She was taken from us so young. She had used the gift of life to bring joy to so many Pokemon trainers. Even after a devastating cancer diagnosis in January of 2024, she was a fan until the very end. While writing this video, I thought a lot about the impact the movie and everyone involved in making it had had on me. I realized that so many more signatures would be needed if I ever wanted to encapsulate the love that had went into making it. I'd need to meet Jay Geode, Philip Bartlett, Yuki Atane, Blessed Union of Souls, and so many others. But I also learned that the beloved voice actress for Meowth, Maddie Blostein, was no longer with us. As one of the first intersex and transgender voice artists in the industry, she paved the way for progress in a way that only someone brave enough to overcome the circumstances of one's birth could. She even cited the love and support from the Pokemon community as something that gave her the strength to transition, despite the overwhelming stigma that surrounded it at the time. I read through some of the interviews done with her over the years, and I cannot think of anyone who is a better embodiment of Meowth's iconic line. The more I dug into the movie, the more I realized I really didn't know. I've been obsessed with archiving Pokemon's history for over a decade now. I feel a mixed bag of emotions knowing that more of it's lost with each passing day. The stories we build together are what makes the franchise what it is, and, well, I realized that the ones who make these stories, that is to say, each and every one of us, aren't forever. So honestly, thank you for being a part of Pokemon's never-ending story, and for giving me the chance to be part of it too.